I'm not gonna lie to you. I absolutely love Absolute Batman. I love the brutality. I love the way he's set up. I love the backstory. I love everything. And am I kind of looking at it through very tinted lenses? Of course, because I'm not going to lie to you, I don't sit here and try to read something, watch something, and so on, and try my best to just critique it no matter what. Of course, if I look back at Absolute Batman, maybe there are things that I'm like, hey, you know, this could have been better, whatever. But I love Absolute Batman. But there's another version of Batman that I absolutely love, and that is Arkham Batman. So I decided, what would have happened if you put Absolute Batman in the, first Batman or Arkham Batman game, not in chronological order, but the first Arkham Batman game being that of Batman Arkham Asylum. What would have happened if you put Absolute Batman in Batman Arkham Asylum? Would he be able to win? Will he be able to actually take down and also basically secure Arkham Asylum in one night? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Could Absolute Batman survive Arkham Asylum? And there's kind of a long answer to this. There's also a short answer to this. We don't really know a ton about Absolute Batman, so let's talk about the short answer and the very concise one. And it's that he probably wouldn't be able to actually win or actually survive Arkham Asylum. But do we know that for sure? Of course not. So what's the long answer then? What is the long answer that I'm thinking about? And that's, well, there's a chance that he can actually survive it, because there's a lot of things that we don't necessarily know about Absolute Batman, and some things that might actually benefit him as well in the long run. And we gotta give him, let's just say, a couple leniencies, because this Absolute Batman wouldn't know these villains, wouldn't know a ton of stuff about these villains, but let's just say he does, and he has a chance to take on some of these villains. Who would be the more difficult ones? Who would be the more easy, or on the easy side of these villains? Would he be able to take all of them out? Maybe some of them, maybe none of them. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. And we'll go through this list and talk about them specifically, because I want to talk about the very first one. And that's Zsasz. And this is pretty easy, because what Arkham Batman, all he really had to do was be kind of stealthy and go all the way around to save a police officer. Now, I could see this Batman 1000% being stealthy enough. We have seen him basically hang from ceilings in aquariums and surprise large groups of people, so I don't see any problem with this one specifically. Like I said, there is going to be easier matchups for this version of Batman, and this version of Batman being Absolute Batman, of course. But there's also some other things that really need to be talked about. Now, the Titan Henchman. The Titan Henchman is a difficult task for Absolute Batman, just in raw power and raw strength. But I can see the Titan Henchman being outlasted by Absolute Batman. We've seen that Absolute Batman is a freak of nature. He surely has some of the most insane endurance, being that he obviously was a collegiate or a college athlete, being that he was part of a football team, a college football team, and he has some insane stamina, and that's on top of his other bits of training he has done throughout his life. We know that he has worked in kind of construction and very heavy labor-esque jobs, and that does take a ton out of you, and we can tell that this version of Batman is an absolute unit and would be able to power through the Titan Henchman. And this is where I start believing that there is some merit to thinking that Absolute Batman might be able to get through the entirety of the Arkham Asylum game, because the Titan Henchman, he's no joke. But Absolute Batman outlasting him is very simple. But this version of Batman is also brutal. We're talking absolutely brutal. Yes, he doesn't kill necessarily, but dude, he will hurt you beyond belief. We saw him straight up take an axe off his chest. By the way, the bat symbol being a literal axe is pretty damn awesome. I just want to point that out. But we have seen him utilize an axe and straight up cut someone's arm off. So there is definitely a line he will kind of peter on and off of. And yes, he's technically not killing him. And he even references this when he cuts the guy's arm off. He basically tells him like, oh, you better go get that thing checked out because you'll die if you don't run to the nearest hospital in a certain amount of time and blah, 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 which is pretty damn brutal and pretty damn awesome as well. But still, he definitely has the brutality and kind of the more willingness to hurt somebody, unlike our Arkham Batman. I know that sounds weird saying that because we have seen the combos Arkham Batman could do, the absolute beatdowns, the literal spam the same button over and over and over and over again, and watching him absolutely give 15 different types of concussions to one person. Trust me, we have seen it, but at the same time, we gotta understand that this version of Absolute Batman, he's definitely more brutal in terms of a technique. I mean, our Arkham Batman won't just straight up cut someone's arm off the way that's this version of Batman most likely will, and well, actually take that back, definitely will. That version of Arkham Batman won't just straight up be like, yeah, I'm gonna take this axe off my chest and slice your arm off. You know what I mean? And that's the reality of it. And this version of Batman, or Absolute Batman, will definitely go to those lengths if he sees fit. So let's say he fights the Titan henchman and realizes that maybe the Titan henchman's already kind of at the point of no return, or maybe he sees this this kind of person, or this kind of creature of some sorts won't bleed the way others will bleed. Maybe he will literally cut off a leg. I could see that possibly happening, but in all reality, there's really no way around the fact that I do believe that this version of Batman can outlast a Titan henchman until it has basically a heart attack. And on top of that, this version of Batman is so much bigger and possibly stronger, which we only know based on physique, and we don't know it for sure, but possibly stronger than this version of Batman, at least physically. I'm not saying that Absolute Batman and Arkham Batman are the same, or kind of the same in strength, but we know that in terms of raw strength, this Absolute Batman is no joke, and that's basically the point I'm trying to get across. Even if he isn't technically stronger than Arkham Batman, he is no joke in terms of strength, so he'd definitely be able to hold his own against someone or something that is more of like a lower tier Titan henchman, where this thing is just nowhere near the strength of some of the other villains we'll see. Now, this is where we get to kind of some other people that would be very interesting, and that's Scarecrow. Scarecrow is a very interesting villain, and I'm very excited to see if we do get a version of Scarecrow in Absolute Batman. Scarecrow is a very interesting villain in the Batman universe, no matter what. And the fact is, this whole Scarecrow fight scene is a little bit odd, right? This is very video game-esque. You're kind of hiding from the sight of Scarecrow. I mean, Absolute Batman will obviously be able to do that, but this isn't what Scarecrow's fight is truly about. Scarecrow's fight is all about resisting the fear toxin. So would Absolute Batman have the mind and also willpower to really resist the fear toxin? Now, like most Batmans, I think a lot of the answer is yes. He would be able to resist the fear toxin to a large extent, but he still would have to go through some pretty insane things, and we don't really know what the extent of Absolute Batman's mind is really like. We know that he had a troubled time when he was younger. We know that he wasn't always set on these goals, but in my opinion, there is no definitive answer on the idea of if Absolute Batman would be able to overcome the fear toxin. Now, I do believe that this version of Batman is very, very super, you could say superhuman-like, but I mean is like he is like Olympic athlete, if not higher level of kind of endurance and speed and strength and stuff like that. And he is at a totally different kind of level. I mean, like I said before, he is like college athlete level, but he is far above that, as we've seen. And I honestly believe that this Scarecrow toxin, as long as he doesn't kind of buy in, and as long as he can really fight those kind of terrifying urges and those terrifying kind of nightmares, he should be okay. There is some definitely difficult things that he would have to deal with mentally, especially with his mother still being alive, but his father being dead, and so on and so forth. But it's kind of 50-50 for me with the idea of could Absolute Batman really survive an attack with Scarecrow, in terms of, well, if, you know, the fear toxin would get deep into his system. But you can kind of take it or leave it. I would love to hear what you guys think and your reasoning behind if he could or if he could not. Of course, we are going off of very little material at this point. We're on, I believe, issue 3 of Absolute Batman. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe by the time this video comes out, it's not issue 3. Maybe issue 4 is out. But we're very, very little material, so I don't really know how he'll do against Scarecrow. But I guess I would be more on the side of, I think he could break through it. I think we've seen some crazy willpower and or power and determination from Absolute Batman. So I think there's a good chance that he could break through it. But I could see, I can understand if you were like, no, I don't think he would be able to. Now, with the Scarecrow idea out of the way, obviously we're not necessarily going in order. I'm not going to talk about the other 2 or 3 Scarecrow fights that are in this game, but we do want to talk about is Bane, which will be probably one of the most intense and awesome fights to see if this actually somehow happened, because Bane is a freak of nature himself, pumped with this kind of like enhanced venom drug, and he would be extremely dangerous. But at the same time, like I said before, this version of Batman is absolutely brutal. So now it's just a question is Absolute Batman able and agile enough to actually dodge Bane's attacks and be precise enough to actually cut through some of the tubes and stuff like that. And I honestly believe that he would easily survive getting smashed through a wall. And if need be, do I think he would cut Bane or cut down Bane, maybe like cut an arm off or a leg with the axe he has? Possibly. I could even see him maybe getting grabbed by Bane, but he also has some pretty dangerous and scary techniques with his own suit, his suit being massively durable. So he'd definitely be able to take some hits from Bane and easily would be able to survive getting thrown through a wall. And let's just say he doesn't believe in killing, but at the same time, he has a lot of the means, and we have seen him approach things in a direction of, well, yes, he doesn't kill the person, but he's pretty damn brutal to the point that the person probably wants to die anyways. Because, I mean, if someone chopped off my arm and then was like, you gotta run to this hospital to survive, yeah, that's pretty damn scary. And I could see him possibly defeating Bane in an interesting way. If you allow him to have vehicles, I think he definitely beats Bane. We have seen his version of the Bat car, or the Bat, well, it's more like a Bat tank, and it's literally like a construction, like a construction forklift-esque thing. It's like massive. We're talking about. I'm sure you guys have more of the name for it, but off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly what it's called. But it's basically for construction, and it's like his version of a Bat tank, and it's pretty damn crazy. So if he can somehow get that thing, which he has before, like he has literally shown that he could basically call it, sort of, but it was more because like the location he was at. But let's just say we gave him the usage of this Bat-like tank. And if we did, I mean, no joke, Bane would just get tossed into the water like normal, or kind of, well, killed. There's a lot of things that this version of Batman that if he's not careful, he definitely could kill somebody. But I could see him handling Bane but this fight would not be easy by any means. I honestly think that there's a good chance that maybe Bane's strength is too overwhelming, and Bane's kind of uplifted strength as well forces Absolute Batman into a corner, because he doesn't know enough about Bane. He doesn't know enough about what he has to do. And he also still doesn't believe he should be killing people, because obviously this version of Batman has a lot of lethal weapons, especially with his like spikes on his back, the axe and stuff like that. But he doesn't believe in killing, so he definitely would have a little bit of some struggles with Bane. But if he was allowed to have his like giant bat forklift of some sorts, I mean, I don't see it being a bit of a challenge, or not. I don't see it being a challenge at all. And then we can go on from Bane and head to like your Harley Quinns, which I'm gonna be honest, this isn't even fair. It's not. All right, your Harley Quinn, just like Batman, like your Arkham Batman, Harley Quinn would be handled very easily, so I don't really need to talk about her. But the real challenges come in the latter half of, or not even latter half, really the kind of the climax of Arkham Asylum, and that would be going into, well, Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, and Titan Joker. And Killer Croc, he's no joke, like at all. But we have seen that Batman, the Absolute Batman, if given proper prep time, he knows his chemistry. He knows his ability to actually make some sort of chemical to drop in the water and make it a certain way, or basically turn different scenarios better for himself. But it really depends on how much time you want to give him and the prep that he actually has. But at the same time, him running through finding a cure for all of the stuff that's going on in Batman Arkham Asylum with Ivy basically spreading her plants everywhere with like the terrible freaking venom like thing that is pumping through their blood, and all this crazy stuff that is happening in Arkham Asylum. I could see Batman dealing with Killer Croc in an interesting way. Maybe he could find some sort of chemical compound that allows him to make the Croc fall asleep, or make the Croc unable to swim very fast and stuff like that. I think handling the Killer Croc would be interesting to see, because, well, at the end of the day, it would be really interesting to see him handle a big creature that is extremely powerful, very similar to Bane, but with the added feature of the water. And I can see him with like his chemical experience and his chemistry experience handling it in a different way than Arkham Batman would definitely handle it. But the real challenge, something that is frankly probably above his pay grade, would be Poison Ivy and Titan Joker. We saw how strong Titan Joker was, and if he's not willing to straight up take out Titan Joker, there's a good chance that he won't be able to handle him the way Arkham Batman would be able to handle him. But ironically enough, the hardest fight for Absolute Batman, and, well, I guess it's not really ironic, and I think we talk about this quite a bit when we talk about could this person survive Arkham Asylum, but Poison Ivy is legitimately the hardest one. Without actual proper planning, without knowing Poison Ivy, without knowing what is basically to come for him, if he goes in blind, basically unable to actually strategize in a way to defeat Poison Ivy, Absolute Batman is not winning. Absolute Batman is not going to be able to handle Poison Ivy the way Arkham Batman can, because of his prep, what he understands about Poison Ivy, and how he needs to approach Poison Ivy. All of these things massively matter in this scenario, because, well, that's the same reason why we don't necessarily know if he'll be able to defeat Scarecrow, right? There's a lot of things. In terms of brute strength, yeah, a lot of fights that like Bane, Killer Croc, and Titan Joker fare a lot better for someone like Absolute Batman, who is a freak of nature, who's 6'6", 250, a weightlifting Batman, absolutely a freak, and has a bat symbol that is literally an axe. And he has just all of these lethal but somewhat non-lethal, because he's not trying to kill, but let's be honest, when you're using an axe, it is pretty damn lethal. But he has these ways of stopping villains that would more kind of lean toward taking down people like the Titan henchmen, like Bane, like your Killer Crocs and your Titan Jokers. He'd have a lot easier time with them, which, don't get me wrong, it won't be easy in general, but he would have a lot easier time with them than he would someone like Poison Ivy, who utilizes plants in a way that Absolute Batman might not be prepared for. Even though I said Batman, or this version of Batman, has a lot of knowledge on chemistry and stuff like that, it doesn't mean he'll be prepared for somebody who's able to utilize the power of plants themselves and basically connected to nature and borderline the mother of all nature to a large extent. And she's juiced up as well on a drug that makes her even stronger. So yes, Absolute Batman. Well, is it a big maybe and on this idea of him being able to survive Arkham Asylum? Of course. But is it possible that I could come back to this idea later on after Absolute Batman has more and more issues, and I'm like, yeah, by the way, I lied. There's no way Absolute Batman would ever lose to these people? Of course, there's a reality of there's also a reality that maybe we see that mind games work a lot better on Absolute Batman, and I'm sitting here saying that he wouldn't get past Scarecrow by any means. There's a lot of unknowns, but I'm gonna be honest, it would be absolutely insane to watch Absolute Batman take on the entirety of Arkham Asylum in one night. It would be a hell of a thing to watch, but also massively hypothetical on the idea if he could actually survive it. But if I had to put a yes or no to it, I would heavily lean toward the idea of no, more because of Scarecrow and Poison Ivy and kind of what most gamers and anime lovers and anime watchers and even, well, superhero lovers as well call hacks, which Poison Ivy and Scarecrow have quite a bit of, and it would be hard to deal with people that have these special innate abilities. I know technically Scarecrow doesn't, but the literal drug basically makes him feel massive amounts of fear, and Poison Ivy herself has plants at her disposal that are beyond your wildest dreams, so it would be very difficult to deal with. So I would give Absolute Batman a chance at definitely defeating or surviving Arkham Asylum, but I would definitely lean, at least at this moment, to the idea of him not being able to. But you know, I would be rooting for him every step of the way if he actually had to face off with Arkham or Batman's Arkham Asylum in the Arkham games. But I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Do you think he would be able to defeat Batman Arkham Asylum? Would he be able to survive Batman Arkham Asylum? I mean, this Batman is brutal. This Batman is absolutely insanely powerful, is at least what it seems like. And, well, I wouldn't hate it too bad on the idea if he was actually able to survive it. But like I said, would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. But if you enjoyed this video, YouTube believes you'll enjoy this one, so might as well go check it out.